Hey, it's Mark Barrett, and thanks for stopping by and spending a couple of minutes with me here today to talk to you about something near and dear to my heart, which is making money online and actually how I got involved in the online marketplace. Now, if you've been to my blog, if you've looked at any of the articles that I publish on my blog all the time about MLM success and marketing, you know that my background is primarily marketing and that I've been in the MLM industry for well over 25 years. Been a seven-figure earner. I have done extremely well in that marketplace. But of course, as most people do when they first stumble into the MLM marketplace, I was totally clueless about how the MLM industry worked and how it was really different than what I'd been doing before in business development and sales. And so, I mean, like everybody else, I stumbled around. I failed pretty miserably for about 6 months. Matter of fact, I think I quit probably 6 times just in my first 5 or 6 months. I mean, I got so sick of chasing people around hearing, Mark, I'm looking at several options. I haven't ruled it out yet. Follow up with me next week. I'm looking at several options. It was kind of like, you know, it got so frustrating. Now, I'm sure you've been there, right? And I started believing, hey, am I the only person that has half a brain left in the entire world? Why can't these people see what a great opportunity this is? I mean, this is just incredible, but they couldn't see it, right? See, I really hadn't learned in the beginning of my MLM career the science or the value of work in the numbers. I mean, marketing teaches us, and I should have known this from my background, that regardless of what you're selling, if you can put that information about your product or service or company or business opportunity in front of a large enough group of people and do it consistently over time, you are going to find people that see the opportunity just the way that you are. They're going to raise their hand and they say, Mark, I see it just the way that you do. I want to join your team. Right? However, in the beginning, when most people join MLM, what they do is they stumble around and they, get some advice from their upline, and they do it the old traditional way, which everybody can do, which is putting together that warm market list. We used to call it the chicken list, right? Because you're chicken to call them. And you just don't want them to know you're an MLM. It's like, well, what are you calling me for? Well, I'm involved in this new company. It's an MLM. You're kind of you're a stealth distributor. So, but you put together the chicken list, you start doing some calls, and what you're doing, the mistake that most people make, now that works. However, in the time it takes you to sift and sort through everybody in your warm market or all of your prospects using that laborious, time-consuming process, which is not leveraged, by the way. You have to sit down and do 1 hour or half an hour presentations for everybody, right? You could have gotten there so much quicker had you used some form of automation and leverage, had you used the power of numbers to really make it work for you. So I figured that out, right? And so I started pushing really high volume lead generation. Now, over 25 years ago, the internet wasn't there. But I used newspaper ads. I funneled people into a little voicemail system to sift them, right? Automation, right? So that by the time people got through my old antique sales funnel, I was only talking to people who were dead serious enough. They had already listened to the mechanics of what it was all about. I was talking to really valid prospects. And so I recruited, about 250 of those dead serious people in my first 2.5 years in the MLM industry, and I ended up well over $1 million to $1.5 million a year by I think it was a little after my third year in the business. So it exploded. Now, when was it? 2009. I started looking at some additional strategies to try to, up my game, right? Marketing changes on a daily basis. Newspapers really weren't throwing off the volume they used to. And so I started looking around at different options in which I could get back to the same kind of high volume lead generation, the success that I had enjoyed in the past. And so I looked at several options and I ended up stumbling around and ended up going online. And I'd always been intrigued by this concept of working a business that had an online resource to it, and maybe generating leads online, selling products online, because it just intrigued me totally that you could reach out and touch somebody halfway across the world through your computer. And if you did it right and set up your online business correctly, you would have a business that ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that did selling and telling for you while you were asleep. Yeah, I was intrigued. You probably are too, right? And so 2009, I ran into, as I was looking for some options in generating lead traffic, ran into a company that developed actually an online marketing system and a training platform. And so what they offered was, they offered basically a training platform. They said, come in, pay $50 a month, and we're going to show you all these different strategies and how you generate lead source. And we'll show you how you can literally generate after you study it for a while, right? 5 leads a day, 10 leads a day, 25 leads a day, and then 50, and then 100. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. But better than that, they showed me a better system to use in giving presentations, right? They showed me how to use a sales funnel so that I could generate the leads off the internet, push people through an automated sales funnel that gave the presentations for me, leverage, right? Sifted the people down through the system, and so that by the time I was actually talking through a prospect that had come through the system, I knew that they were in the MLM industry. I knew that they were looking to become successful in the industry. They were out actively searching, right? So I was talking to a really valid prospect. And so I dove in with that system. I went out and did some paid advertising. I generated a ton of leads. I funneled a ton of people into my system. I think actually in the first 5 months that I did the business, I funneled just under 3,000 leads into that system and let the videos do the selling and telling for me. And I ended up sponsoring, now this particular system, what was really nice about it was generic. So I wasn't out there pitching XYZ MLM, any direct MLM company, right? Which would have been against company policy. Anyway, so what happened was I pitched their system, which was a training system, and when I brought people in on that particular system, it actually generated an affiliate commission just because they decided to use the same system that I was using, right? So I sponsored like 313, 320 people onto that particular system in 5 months from those 3,000 leads, right? Maybe 10 or 11%. And then from that group of people that came in, I now had an existing working relationship with these people in which I talked to them further, what company are you in? What are you doing? What's happening? And I sponsored I think I sponsored 54 people, maybe 60 people in about 5 months. Yeah, which was a little over 10 people a month. And so from online resources, right? People that were all over the US, Canada, all over the world, really. And it was pretty incredible. Now, the really incredible thing was that the way this type of a marketing system works, and I'm going to explain it in a little more detail in a minute, is it's called a funded proposal. So basically what it is because their system threw off a cash flow, I was actually getting paid to generate leads. So I generated about a little bit over 30,000 in affiliate commissions before I even started counting up my commissions from bringing those people into my MLM, right? So here was a sales funnel that paid for itself, generated a high volume of leads, and allowed me to consistently go out there and sponsor the number of people I knew that was necessary for people to achieve success in MLM. If you're not sponsoring at least 10 people a month into your MLM business, you're just not going to make it unless you're really, really, really persistent, right, and can afford to hold on for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, which I don't think you really want to do, right? Because I found that if you sponsor 10 people into a business, right, one of those people is going to get buyer's remorse almost immediately, right? They call you up the next morning and they say, Mark, I made a terrible mistake. Give me my money back. So, but then about 4 of those people, right, 4 or 5 of those people are going to be transitional that you just brought in. Now, you know the ones I'm talking about. It's kind of like you can't get them to do anything. It's like, well, I'm not through the training yet, and it's because the kids are, on vacation this summer, and I'm going to get to it in September, and I just lost my job last night, and I can't do this right now, but I'm still interested. So it's kind of like pushing a string. You can't get them to do anything, right? So there's transitional people you have to push over to the side. Now you're down to about 5. Now out of this group of 5, these people are going to track to some extent. They're going to actually do the business at some level, but 2 of those people are your 20%ers. So you got to sift, you got to recruit and find 10 to get rid of the 5, to find the 5 who are serious, to sift down to the 2 that are your 20%ers. You spend your time behind them. You go duplicate the process, rinse, repeat, over and over and over again. That's what allowed me to become a $1 million producer in MLM. Always focusing my attention on, number 1, leads who are really interested in talking to me, not chasing people around who weren't, and then focusing in and spending time with the people who actually got into the business opportunity that were willing to go out and do what they needed to do, right? And so I built a killer organization in doing that. So that's always been my strategy. Now, when you inject the internet into this same type of a business methodology, or let's call it a business building methodology, what happens is it's like putting it on steroids, because How many people you sponsor into the business, how quickly your income grows, is a function of the company, their compensation plan, but really, that aside for a moment, it's how many people you put into the plan, right? And can those people duplicate what you're doing? Well, if you give them a system that's duplicatable, and then you push X number of people into the plan, and that makes you 10,000 a month, you want to make 20? Push twice as many, push 3 times as many, 4, 5, 6 times as many. And so you are in control if you're using a tool that has an inexhaustible resource of leads attached to it, which is the internet, by the way. Then you can really ramp it up to whatever level you want. But you need the tools to be able to do it. You need the proper type of a sales funnel approach. You need what's called a funded proposal to be able to do it. It needs to be a generic system. So there's a whole bunch of qualifications if you want to duplicate the same methodology that I used that are really critical in you achieving success online. Now let's talk a minute about the process of what's different in generating leads online and from the way most people do it in the MLM industry, and even the way that I did it in the past. Now in the past, I used a direct approach. When you market online, it's many times better to use an indirect approach. Now my direct approach I also refer to today as the pit bull on the throat approach. They get hold of you and they just, you buy or you die. That's about it, right? And you know people like this in the MLM industry. And so in the past, I would pitch people on my particular MLM. And if they weren't interested, it was like, please stand aside. I was mistaking you for somebody that actually had a brain. Get over here. And I would go on to the next person. How about you? How about you? How about you? Right? Until I found the right people that were dead serious and interested. Now, in doing the direct approach, you actually waste a ton of leads. And as you're out there advertising, also most MLMs in today's marketplace have rules and regulations that prohibit you from using the name of the company. So you're kind of treading on a little bit of thin ice if you're directly promoting the company. And if you're actually pushing somebody over to a company replicated website, you're making a huge mistake. Because if MLM companies actually knew how to market, they wouldn't be paying us millions of dollars to go out there and build organizations for them. They don't know how to do it. A web developer that puts something together for a company is a good corporate guy. It showcases their products. It doesn't pitch the deal with any sizzle. And you know that, right? Now, the way that really works in the world of MLM marketing today is to use an indirect approach. Now, the beauty of an indirect approach is that you're not out there trying to jump somebody, sit on their chest until they buy or die. So with the funded proposal that I was taught how to use, now it seems a little strange at first, but you go after the market. First of all, you go after a specific target market. And that's the first thing I want to talk to you about. What market do you want to go after? Well, I have been through so many types of MLM marketing. I could write a book. Actually, I should write a book. But a lot of those approaches related to going after what I call virgin distributor market, like going into Career Builder, going into job board advertising. Got a great training on that, by the way. And when you do that, you can find tons of people that are transitional. I mean, I think Career Builder has 52 million resumes. They're all transitional, right? So you find transitional people, but you have to sift and sort much more aggressively simply because there are so many of those people that want a job. They want somebody to pay them. They don't want a business opportunity. And you know you're maybe in the wrong market when you're starting to get these, what I call, they're not stupid questions. They're just stupid because we have to listen to them so many times. It's like, well, who sells the product? Is this one of those MLM deals? Yeah, it's actually funny in today's marketplace. But if you're targeting the right market, think about it for a minute here. If you take a look around and do some research, the U.S. has 300 plus million people, right? Take a wild guess how many people are in the MLM industry in some way, shape, or form in the United States today. Well, I did some quick stats and I found that the number probably approaches somewhere between 70 to 80 million people. 80 million people. Can you believe that? Now that's a big target market, right? Now, also what I know from having spent over 25 years in the MLM industry is that that market's very transitional. And you know this as well as I do. People tend to jump into an MLM. They get the advice from their upline to do their chicken list. They go out and they do the same thing over and over and over again. They drag the warm market through their MLM, hoping that somebody's going to catch fire. If they don't, they'll sit there and go, I'm going to use the product. And so typically they will stay in the deal 4 to 6 months. So that's a transitional market in which you have this huge number of people every month who are burning out and go back out and look for opportunity again. Now, if we're selling something, we can go try to sell our product to a marketplace that doesn't know they want it, and whom we have to really convince that it's the right opportunity or right way to do business. And hey, Bob, you don't want that job, you want a business, right? Or, wow, think about this. Go to a market segment where the people have already been sold. They love MLM. They love the concept of MLM, and they're actively out there searching and looking for the one that's going to make their dreams come true. Did the light go on? Boom. And so that's the essence of really what you can do online, because today everybody's online, right? So if you do it properly, you're going to be targeting just that specific target market. You're going to be going after the MLM industry now, because we know it's transitional. Now, in the process, right, why not make money while we're doing it? So the whole idea of a funded proposal, like with the system that I first got started with, and still use today, by the way, is that I go out there, and what I do is I go out, I target the MLM industry through various channels in which I learned how to market online. And I offer people who are in the MLM industry the answer to the single biggest problem they are facing in their business. And you know what that is? Generating leads, having adequate lead flow to power their business. You ask anybody in MLM, what's causing you not to get ahead? Well, why aren't you at 10,000 a month? I can't find enough people that are interested. How do you generate leads, right? So I went out there with the proposition of, let me show you how to generate leads online, right? And I got this great system, by the way, that I use too, to where these people that are real experts, people that are $1 million earners, will teach you how to generate lead traffic online. And then they're going to give you all these automated websites and everything, the sales funnels to where you don't have to be a web developer to do it. And so, boom, they're going to teach you. And here's the tools you need to automate your whole system so that you can be given presentations 24 hours a day, or have somebody on the system who's given them for you, and you're just sitting there and writing on their back. So it's a thing of beauty. Now, the second part of that equation is when you go out there and offer that and bring people into that sales funnel, most of them want to do the same thing you're doing. So when they dive in as an affiliate, it generates an affiliate commission, which throws a cash flow, which means you're really getting paid for each and every lead that comes into your system, as opposed to the 1%, 2%, or 3% that you ultimately get into your MLM. I mean, it really is a thing of beauty. Now, the other part that's really phenomenal about this type of a system is it really allows you to get to know somebody who is actively looking, right? And because you have so many, if you're doing it right, you have so many leads to deal with, you don't really feel the need to pressure people to join you, which makes you much more attractive, right? When people try to sell you something, the barriers come up, right? And so I employed a strategy in which I went out and I generated these leads. I targeted the MLM industry. They came into my sales funnel after watching this video in which I told them, hey, let me show you how to generate leads. This is a great system, blah, blah, blah. So I would get on the phone and I would call up the people, I'd give them one call. I'd call them up and I'd say, hey, when I reach somebody, I'd say, hey, Bob, hey, it's Mark Barrett in Miami. How you doing? Say you had stumbled across one of my marketing websites and I just wanted to call and give you a quick little hello from Miami and see if I can answer any questions for you about the system. And so I'm assuming you must be an MLM, right? Or you're looking to get involved in MLM. What company are you working with? That's exactly my lines. And then they would say, well, here's what they would say. A third of the people would say, I'm not currently involved in an MLM, but I'm thinking of getting involved or I'm actively looking. Now, these are prime Class A suspects, right? Or prospects for you. And so those people, you could instantly start talking to about the particular business promotion you're doing with whatever MLM you're selling, right? And you could say, well, you ought to take a look at what I'm doing. Let me send you to a website. And you push them over to a sales funnel that directly pitches your business opportunity. Now, 2/3 of the people, right, that come into your funnel are in the MLM industry already, and they're what I refer to as married to Melaleuca, right? Not to run down the name of a company. Melaleuca is a great company. But there are a lot of people that are just in love with their company and they just want to be successful in their company. Now, in the past, those people, that was kind of painful, and you found yourself pitching those people and saying, what are you, stupid? What do you mean you're in that company? That's the worst company in the world. Now, you know as well as I do, this is kind of like arguing with your loved one or your wife. You're just not going to win that argument, right? Mine's better than yours, especially in MLM. So it doesn't work. It's not going to work. So you can't make money off them, so you toss them out the window. Now, the interesting thing is, remember, those people are going to be transitional in 4 to 6 months, and you're going to have to toss that lead out the door if you're using a direct approach, because what do you have to sell them? You have nothing to give them, nothing to offer them, nothing to sell them other than your business opportunity that they're not interested in. Now with funded proposal, those 2/3 of your leads coming into your system, you go, you know, Bob, Melaleuca, once again, just to use the name of the company, as an example, Bob, Melaleuca, it's a great company you're with. Actually, I know two guys in that company making over $1 million a year. Great company, great products, right? But the problem is, how are you generating leads right now? And how many people are you bringing in each month? So I'd put on my coach's hat and actually ask them, how's your business going? How's it going so far? How many people you're bringing in? How are you generating leads, right? And it always boils down to not enough lead flow. And I'd go, look, what you need to do if you want to be successful is you need to be able to ramp up your business so you can sponsor 10 people a month, right? Because one of them goes out immediately, 5 of them are transitional. And so I told them my business model. And I said, so you need 10 people a month. Now, if you use online resources like I'm doing right here, the system you opted into, right, you can use that same system. And they'll teach you how to generate leads online. And then you're going to be able to go out there and you're going to be able to generate leads like I'm doing. And once you ramp it up to about 10 people a month and do it consistently, you're going to be able to make money in your business, right? And so then you would plug them in as an affiliate in your system, and then you would make money off them every month. And that's how I generated, well, over $30,000 in 5 months just from affiliate commissions, right? And so it's turning your lead generation process into a cash flow monster. But better than that, it's keeping all of these people in a relationship with you, in which they get your autoresponders every day. They're in the same system you're in. You're their sponsor in this particular system. That's generic, by the way. You're maintaining a relationship with them. And so when they transition over and burn out, who do you think they call? Mark. You know what? I've decided no longer to do this anymore, the company I was with. And tell me a little bit about what you're doing. What do you think is the best model for this market today? I mean, come on. It's a thing of beauty. Now, there's one differential here that I'll go over real quickly with you. So the two business models that are in the MLM industry, most people are familiar with one, some people are familiar with both. You have standard MLMs, you have top tier MLMs. So with standard MLMs are companies to where you dive in. Most of the companies you know about or have been involved in are standard. Cost you a couple $100 to get involved, the Herbalifes, the Mary Kays, the Melaleucas, the New Skins, the Max GLs, all of those. A couple $100. It's basically a 5% ball game is what it boils down to, a little special sponsoring bonus aside, right? And so that means you're getting 5 cents on the dollar when you bring people in. Now, in those particular business models, it takes longer to develop a large enough downline for you to get to the big dollars, right? It takes on average, I would say, well over 2,000 people on your team in your downline for you to get yourself ramped up to about 5,000 a month. You want to make 10 grand a month? Well, you're looking at 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, depending on activity status in your downline, because $100 auto ship, right? So unless you know some magical way to bring 5,000 or 6,000 people into your business overnight, well, it's going to take you time. It took me 3 years, right? And I was pushing high volume lead generation. I'm really good at it. So for the average person, a lot of them just don't stick to it because it takes 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years to be able to amass that big of an organization. And you hope the company doesn't mess something up in the meantime. Now, the other business model that's more of a direct sales model is called top tier. Now, top tier MLM is like standard MLM, but the difference is the price point somebody pays when they come in to be a distributor is higher. Traditional top tiers would be maybe 2,000, 10,000, or 20,000. That's what it costs to be a distributor. So it's kind of like a hybrid between MLM and a franchise. Now, when people come into this business model, you usually will pick up anywhere from 50% at a minimum. Some companies even pay out on a passive basis 100% commissions. And now, if you can make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 every time you bring somebody into the business, how quickly do you think you can get to that magical $10,000 a month? Or maybe in 1 month, right? Now, the differences between the two, I've done them both. I like them both. Probably the total amount of your residual income will be higher over time if you're a superstar in a standard MLM. But you can sure get to the money quicker with a top tier MLM, right? And I know people that make over $1 million a year in top tier MLM. So the reason I was bringing this up is that when you're doing your discussion, right, wearing your coach's hat with the people that come into this type of a system, when you're learning how to market online, If you're in a standard MLM, you do the discussion with them. Are you currently involved? What are you looking at? What company you're with? If they're with the company, they're married to Melaleuca, you say, great company. Don't tell them it's bad. Don't argue with them. Build the relationship. Put them in your warm file. Set them up on the system. Make money from the affiliate commissions and wait for them to come back to you. If you're marketing a top-tier business model, then typically speaking, most people don't know anything about that. Then you can actually expose even the 60% to the top-tier business model. And I have made a killing with both of those approaches. When I first started marketing online, I used the first approach because I was promoting a standard MLM, and I brought a ton of people into my company, made extremely good money. Then I switched my business model to top tier and made much more money because I converted more people, because the bottom line is that people didn't know about that business model. They were very excited by it. So, and it really didn't compete with what they were doing in whatever other company that they were with. So that's the beauty of marketing online. That's what you can do with a good online marketing business model, and that's exactly the strategy that you use to become successful. Now, the system that I used, and there are several systems out there, but the one I used and really like, which I think is the industry best one today, is my Lead System Pro. And you dive in, you learn how to generate some lead flow. And here's the thing about generating leads. Most people really mystify it far too much when they go online. It's kind of like, how do you generate leads? Well, let me tell you a little secret here, dirty little secret about the industry. If you're going to go out there and dive into something like my Lead System Pro and you want to build an MLM, if you really have no money to spend on advertising, then it's going to take you a little bit longer to learn the strategies and do the legwork and all the manual work for inputting and putting videos on YouTube and all this stuff that's going to start generating a really high volume of lead, maybe writing blog articles, right? So it takes you more work and more time, right? But still, once it gets ramped up, it's a thing of beauty. Now, if you have money to put into an advertising budget, how quickly can you generate 50 leads a day? How about 20 minutes from now? Seriously. Right? The people that make, and the interesting thing about the industry, I have met since I've been involved in online marketing, people that make $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $15 million a year. Seriously, marketing products online. Now, do you think any of those people generates their own leads? No. What they do is that they find a good product that looks good, that has a high profit potential, that's going to monetize their business model, and then they look at their websites, tinker with their videos a little bit. Then they go to a commercial lead broker and say, okay, Bob, I need 5,000 people to my website by tomorrow morning to check it out. Give me 5,000. It would be 10,000 eyeballs, right, for 5,000 people, assuming they only had 2 eyes. We're going to push them to the website, okay? Or they say, I want 100,000 people to visit my website over the next 30 days, right? And then they let somebody else who's an expert in lead generation push the traffic flow to their website. Boom. So really, becoming successful in MLM by generating leads at a high volume and bringing a ton of people into the business and making that big residual income can really be a done-for-you marketing type approach, right? But once again, there's a specific way that you should do it. There's a specific target you should go after, and I'm a big believer in that, the fact that you have to know how to do it yourself before you can delegate it, right? So I delegate a lot of that activity in my business today to people that I outsource to. So they do it. They do the calls. They do the connections. They respond to the emails. But really, you have to learn how to do that first, and then you outsource it. So anyway, that is my personal business model. It's a great tool, my Lead System Pro. I would recommend it to anybody. They've been around since, I think, 2008. I joined them in 2009. I still use their funnels and sales system today, although today they're much more profitable as far as their business model when you bring people in. But it's something I would highly recommend. But anyway, focus your attention online. Take a serious look at how you're going to take your business to the next step. Anyway, I hope this information's been useful for you. This is Mark Barrett, and actually I'm in Denver, Colorado today, and hope you're making it a good one. Take care.